I'm Art Lewis. Coming up later on at 9:30, we'll be chatting with the Saginaw City Manager, Tim Morales, at 10 o'clock this morning, Bay City Players. At 11 o'clock, Dr. Ravan Maragiri will be with us, all coming up this morning. But we'll take a few calls between now and about 25 after. So 989-752-6111 is the number to call if you want to join us, but it's going to have to be relatively quick. And we'll be happy to talk to you this morning. Tariffs are, of course, much in the news, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens as the Trump administration has been sued now over tariffs in what's called the U.S. Court of International Trade. And that is, by the way, a U.S. federal court, not some international court that we don't believe in, but it's a U.S. court. So we'll have to see what happens. Carl is with us in Saginaw, so let's get a conversation going. Carl, good morning.
Good morning, Art. I'm not sure if it's the same lawsuit, but I believe the Koch brothers, the very rich industrialists, or the one Koch brother that's still alive, they are suing, the federal government about these tariffs.
Anybody can sue.
I'm not sure. Yes, well, not some liberal cause, but these, businessmen are saying these tariffs are bad, and according to the Constitution, it's supposed to be Congress which levies tariffs.
Where does it say that?
I think in the Article 2 of the Constitution, Congress levies taxes, levies tariffs. It's only in an emergency that Trump is able, apparently, to levy tariffs because he's calling it an emergency right now.
I'm going to have to look.
But Art, I actually called. I'm wondering what you're thinking about this man that was sent to El Salvador, and the Supreme Court has said, the way I understand it, bring him back, give him due process, put him in front of a judge, and
I would have
everything that.
I have no problem with that. Problem is getting him out of El Salvador, who doesn't seem to want to give him up. And there seems to be some degree of discussion as to what this guy's background is and who he is. But he does deserve to go before a judge. Let the judge decide. I don't have a problem with that, but getting him back from El Salvador may be the problem.
Well, the dictator in El Salvador can do whatever he wants, and he'll do whatever Trump asks him to do. I mean, come on.
No, he didn't say that in the office the other day. That was not what he said in the office.
But he's a dictator in El Salvador. He can do.
Yeah, he can do exactly what he wants to do. So how do you force him to do something else?
Well, because we're paying $5 million a year for him to house these prisoners. So we have some leverage.
Well, that would be the leverage. The money would be the leverage.
Yeah, exactly. And this man would do pretty much anything Trump asked him to do. Come on, let's be honest.
Well, he hasn't so far.
Well, Trump hasn't asked him to.
Well, I don't know whether he has or not. So,
Well, there's been no report of it. And it's just this idea of, picking up somebody in the middle, arresting somebody in the middle of the night, putting them on a plane and sending them out of the country, that's just not the American way. It's just, and I think that Trump and his administration, they're trying to be fast and loose, around breaking the spirit of the law, maybe staying to the letter of the law. This is just not the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, he's doing a lot of things that I question, so we'll see. Time will tell.
And the other day, you mentioned that, immigration policy, it's been kicked down the road. The can has been kicked down the road. Well, as your caller said, there was a bipartisan bill that Trump killed.
Yeah.
So there was It was going to be a partial fix for immigration, and Trump is the one that kicked it down the road.
Well, he didn't. He suggested it, and they followed him. That's,
Well,
you know, he didn't vote on it.
Again,
But listen, I understand what you're saying, but you understand what I'm saying. It's been administration after administration. There have been other bills that have died because of it. It's not just this one.
but this one died because of
Yeah,
Donald
okay,
Trump.
fine. Wonderful.
He told them.
Okay, I got
He
you.
told them not to vote for it.
Good
and
for
they
him.
were going to vote for it, and then he told them not to.
Okay, I
and they
got you.
didn't.
Heard it.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye. And we've got Gene. Go ahead, Gene. Probably going to be our last caller because we only have time for a couple, so go ahead.
Okay. On this Salvador mess, Trump could have built a high security prison in a state that had the death penalty that would provide jobs for Americans. And if they caused any trouble, the state has the death penalty. They could get rid of those criminals permanently.
Well, there's a couple of things about that. First of all, it would take at least a couple of years to build. At least. At least a couple of years.
We do already have some high security prisons. But anyway, I mean, to me, it would be so simple. I mean, I don't believe for 1 minute that leader of El Salvador has made that decision to keep that prisoner himself. He's been friends with Trump for years and years and years. I don't believe for 1 minute.
How do you know that?
His decision to keep that guy, because Trump is paying him huge amounts of money.
$6 million.
To keep these men there.
$6 million.
Well, anyway, that's enough of that. My friend, a year ago, she had to put her mother into a nursing home for a couple months, and she went up every day to feed her. And there were other women at the table that had a plate full of food and weren't eating. So when she'd get done feeding her mother, she would feed these other women. The nursing homes, even a year ago already, they're short-staffed, and they try to do a really good job. This was a really good nursing home in Bay City. But they were short-handed way back a year ago. Now, another friend...
Where are we going with it? Because we're limited on time, so where are you going with this?
My other friend's dad went into a different nursing home, lost a whole lot of weight. He thought his dad was losing weight because
where are we
he
going
had no
with
appetite.
this?
So he took him to a family wedding. His dad ate a big plate of food and went and got back second helpings. And then he realized his dad was losing weight because the nursing home wasn't furnishing him with enough food.
Okay.
There are big problems in these nursing homes. And Medicaid, they get some of their money from Medicaid. When they stop getting money from Medicaid...
Why are they going to stop getting money from Medicaid?
Even worse.
Why will they stop getting money from Medicaid? Who has scared you into thinking that?
Well, they're cutting funding to Medicaid. Everything in Medicaid.
There, you can look for waste and abuse. They're not cutting legitimate funding.
Well, we'll see. Day by day, we'll see.
All right, Gene, I got to run.
I have to say...
I got to run, Gene. Gene, I have to run. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, we will be back.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting
being sued because of them? But some companies have thought ahead. One of those is my car dealer, McDonald Ford in Freeland. It's harder and harder to find products made in America, but with all the uncertainty of tariffs, it's become even more important. And McDonald Ford, in anticipation of tariffs, stocked their lot with tariff-free vehicles, and they have many more en route to the lot. Not only are they tariff-free, but in addition, Ford is offering employee pricing for everyone. That means you pay the same price as a Ford employee. In addition, Chrysler, import buyers, considering a Ford, they're going to get the lowest price offered. Chevy truck buyers can now get the truck they've always wanted, the wonderful Ford F-150, best-selling pickup in America, also at employee pricing. So you see, now's the right time to visit McDonald Ford M47 in Freeland for the best selection and the lowest possible price. Don't let tariffs prevent you from getting the vehicle of your choice at a price you can afford. Visit McDonald Ford in Freeland today. Remember, tariff-free and employee pricing for everyone. Before we move over to the city, got just a couple of minutes for Scott in Saginaw. Scott, good morning.
Hey, morning, Art. I'll make it quick then. I wanted to talk about the guy who was deported to El Salvador.
Yep.
Originally, he was from El Salvador. He was part of MS-13 gang. A rival gang threatened to kill him, so that man fled El Salvador, came to America looking for sanctuary, and continued working with MS-13. A judge said he could not be deported back to El Salvador because of the rival gang threat. Now, that rival gang has been disbanded and dismembered. They are no longer there. So the man is back in El Salvador in custody in his home country. Now, we have Democrats saying they're going to go there and they're going to demand his release. If they got his release, the man would be brought here and then deported to another country to be put into detainment. So what is the hoopla that the Democrats are going crazy over this man?
Yeah, well, the hoopla is that without the background you just gave, they're saying that he was improperly restrained and sent out of the country because he wasn't guilty of all that he was a productive citizen and all that stuff. I don't know. I just, I wish, to tell you the truth, Scott, I wish all of these guys, people being deported, went before a judge even for 10 minutes, just so we could say they had their day. It would simplify things.
I hear what you're saying, but even with the pictures that ABC and NBC is showing of this man in prison, they showed a picture of him hunched over with his shirt off. And what was the tattoo on his back? Oh my God! It said MS-13.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying.
But to me, well, no, I know you're not. But to me, geez, what more evidence do these people need? If he fled from the gang, then he should have got the tattoo removed. But instead,
gotcha.
He still has the tattoo. So, all right, I'll talk to you.
Time will tell. Thanks, Scott. Take care.
Right, bye.
All right, just a moment or two, we'll be chatting with Tim Morales, who is the city manager of the city of Saginaw. And as I speak, we say good morning to Tim Morales. Tim, good morning to you.
Good morning, Art. How are you?
Well, we're doing well. Hope you are too.
Yeah.
So was tax day also the tax day for the city yesterday?
No, our income tax day is April 30th, so a few more weeks.
Oh, how do they get so lucky?
Yeah, a little break there.
How is the city doing financially?
Oh, we're doing well. We have our budget preparation process. That's going to be going to council pretty soon, and we have a balanced budget, so we're just working on that document, and we're going to get that to council and get it approved by the end of May, and then our new fiscal year will start July 1st, and then the next step is working on the audit again. So continuous cycle.
You mentioned a balanced budget. The city, like so many other governmental entities, still has some degree of pension plans with some of your unions, don't you?
We have existing pension plans for retirees, and we still have a few employees that are working that are part of the pension plan. We actually have 3 going. We have a 401 type retirement plan for some employees.
That'll be the future, though, right?
Well, yep. And now our newer one is a hybrid plan where it has a pension component and a 401 type component. So there is a guaranteed payment and then an investment part. So.
Oh, really?
Yep. That's our newest plan here that's what our current hires are under.
And just out of curiosity, the unions will accept that, as far as you know?
Yeah, yep. We switched to that. Actually, it's probably been about 3 or 4 years ago at least. And that's people who were in the 401 plan had an option to switch, and some of them did and some of them didn't. So that's why we have the 3 plans going at once. But eventually all the employees will be on the hybrid plan. A lot of people like that because you have that guaranteed payment. It's lower than the former pension plans used to be, but there's a multiplier based on your average wage while you worked, the amount of years you worked, and so you get that guarantee, and then you still have the portion that you can direct investments in.
And how is the city doing in funding its pension obligations?
Yeah, I think we're doing better than we were, and a lot of it does depend on the market. So market swings and fluctuations have an impact on that funding ratio.
Ouch.
Yep, definitely. I could tell you back in when the market went down, 2008 and 2009, just the police and fire part of the pension fund probably lost, if I recall, somewhere in the neighborhood of $30-40 million. So
wow.
Those big plans with significant market swings can have a huge impact. But now all of our full pensions are under the same umbrella, so we have that standard investment. But we've been lucky to, as a couple of other communities in the area and around the state have. The state's put a big emphasis on increasing the pension funding ratio. So there's been grants available that have been helpful. And the city of Saginaw, since we've been doing well financially, we've been putting more than our requirement into the pension fund as well. So we've been doing that for the past several years, which helps with that funding ratio. We have what's called an ARC, annual required contribution, that actuaries determine, and we usually put in more than that amount.
Mm. How it's hard. I know it's hard to answer this question, but how long in years before pensions are gone and everybody's on 401ks or your hybrid plan? Would you guess?
Oh, I mean, so it's you start talking about that, it gets a little bit morbid because
true.
We have a big group of people who are on the pension, for the rest of their life, so they'll be around for our current employees that are working, that are in the pension plan. There's only, I bet, probably less than 20 remaining, maybe 30, but not a lot. And we have about 470 employees. So the pension plan, the full pension plan, ended in the early 2000s. So very long-term employees that we have are still on that, 20-plus year employees. But other than that, most of our employees are on the 401 or defined contribution or the hybrid plan.
All right, I got to take a break, and we'll be back. We're talking to Saginaw City Manager Tim Morales, and we will have more with Tim when we return.
Attention, all Mega Millions.
All right, we're back with you in conversation with the Saginaw City Manager, Tim Morales. And Tim, driving around the city, a lot of utility work, street work going on, and some big projects about to get underway, namely State Street heading east. How is the city doing in looking after its streets and roads, and what do you hope to happen in Lansing to get some more money?
Well, we have a lot of projects going on now for street projects, and there's a combination of them. As you mentioned, the State Street project, that's a state of Michigan project, so that'll be going alongside all of our other work, and we have a lot of other infrastructure work going on now as well, the water tower and in front of the water plant and bridge and Ojibwe Island. So we really want to make sure that the state continues to have that emphasis on local infrastructure so that we can continue to maintain the bridges, especially in the streets and their other infrastructure. So, they've been really great in a lot of the work they've done. We have a significant grant for that water tower project. I think we've talked about that before. And but, a lot of the work will probably, especially water and sewer infrastructure, you might have to go back to bonding just because some of the state rules aren't real conducive to some of the work that we have going here. So we'd like to see those change, obviously, and we'll continue to comment about that. But be great if there were more streets money, but we understand that's limited. So we do the best we can with the money that we do receive.
I want to go back to the water tower for a minute. Explain to everyone the purpose of that water tower. It's a little confusing because it's actually just a backup, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a backup. It's not it's not a huge reserve supply of water, but what it does for our entire system is keep it under the necessary pressure that we need to maintain that system without having to ever go to a boil water advisory. So in an instance where you lose power at the water treatment plant, you have a matter of minutes, I think, to get those generators up and operating. And our plant staff, they do a great job with that. Because they have kind of advanced weather metrics that they have there, and they have everything ready to go. So when they need to get it on, they usually can. But we have to realize they're just mechanical devices, and they can fail, and they're aging as well, those generators. So it's a backup to make sure that we don't have an incident where we can have a failure there and require the boil water advisory. But it's going to help not just City of Saginaw users, but as you know, we supply water throughout Saginaw County and even parts into Bay County. So it really benefits everyone.
So if I understand it right, then the water in that tower through gravity provides pressure so that you have more minutes to fix the generators. Does that sound about like what it is?
Yep, that's right, and it does. It's provides that to hopefully they don't have to fix the generators. It's just getting them on. But yep, that's right, Art. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Is it natural flow or is it? Are there pumps at the water tower?
There's piping and I think that's gravity fed.
Yeah.
I'm not, but there's pumps at the water plant and throughout the system, but that I believe is gravity fed. A lot of the work that you're seeing in front of the water plant now, some of it we would have been doing anyway, but a lot of it's piping to that water tower too, which it needed to be in close proximity to the plant, which is part of the reason for the location, but it did require that additional piping and connections as well. So that's part of the work that they're doing now. But
when's that project going to be done?
It should be done by the end of the year for the most part. I think some of the aspects are even going to go into 2026, but primary construction, it should be done by the end of the year.
All right, Tim, hang on for one more quick segment. We'll take a break, come back. We're talking to Saginaw City Manager Tim Morales, and more ahead.
Making your summer travel
rewrite, which will be concluding in the next, I think, month or so. So that's kind of a big project we have ongoing, and then we're going through the audit. So, and we continue to work with the various groups looking at the medical diamond, and we're moving forward with our Riverfront Park too down there. So we got to get that bid out. So we've got a lot of big projects ongoing.
What's happening at the old fairgrounds down on Genesee?
Yeah, that's still the majority of that is owned by, or actually all of it is still owned by the Saginaw Housing Commission. So our role, and we utilized ARPA funding, was to help demo those buildings, get it so that it's development ready, and some of the costs came in a little bit less than were anticipated, so we helped with more work there. Now it's on the Housing Commission to look at the next steps. Our role, what we would like to do there, is we gave them a proposal to transfer the Fairgrounds gate to the city of Saginaw. We parceled that off and put an offer to purchase in, and I think that's with HUD right now. We want to preserve and restore that gate and make it into a small park. So that's our goal there. And then the Housing Commission will need to decide and work with whomever they need to work with to utilize the rest of the property.
And is the Housing Commission in agreement with the gate?
Yep, they've been very supportive of that, and we have an engineering drawing for the park and everything. So I think at this point we're just waiting on HUD to give the approval for that.
Speaking of housing, how are we doing with blight? Have we eliminated most of it in the city?
Well, there's it's an ongoing process, as you know. So we continue to look at properties, and our code enforcement is always busy. If there's a dangerous building, that's what we need to take care of quickly, so that nobody gets hurt. The event of a fire or something else like that, or a lot of times you'll see. Yeah, you can see various buildings, especially commercial buildings, that are larger that look great but might not be structurally sound, and there could be an incident there. And then sometimes you'll see some where it's just a matter of a facade issue, but structurally it's very sound. So it's a continuous thing, and we try to work with the property owners when we can to make sure that the buildings are repaired or are structurally sound.
And I know one of those commercial buildings sits there at Genesee and Washington because our call letters are on the side of it, the old Mason building.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that one is. It does generate interest because of the location for redevelopment. So we do have some redevelopment-ready community dollars that we've put into that for building scans and things like that. So if developers are interested in that, or if preservationists are and they want to step up and redevelop the building, we can provide that. But yeah, you're right. If it's vacant for too long without the necessary maintenance, that they can become issues.
What's happening on Ojibwe Island? Anything?
Shore restabilization. So you probably saw the giant pile of rock there that's been there for probably a month. That project took a little bit longer to get started because of permitting from the state of Michigan. So we do have all the permits now. And I saw this morning they have part of the shoreline, the water backed off, and they're digging there to put in the stone to reinforce the shoreline. But that's probably going to take longer than we thought because of this delay. We initially planned to be out of there I think sometime in May, but there's more than a month delay, and then we're going to have to do some additional work. So it's going to be a longer project, but it's going to make the island a nicer place and stabilize it.
And is the island open to traffic now?
Nope. It's actually completely closed right now because of the work that's going on. There's a potential for injury and things like that with all the equipment moving, so it's completely closed at this point.
And let's talk about Parks and Recreation. The city really didn't have a budget for it, but how are you involved in the Parks and Recreation scenarios?
Yeah, so we do maintenance in the parks, and we're very fortunate now to have groups like the Friends of Hoyt Park and Positive Results Downtown that, they fill in that gap of what used to be recreation. So we generally work with those groups, and if there's a project in Hoyt Park or something like that we can fund, if we have the funding available, we'll do that. I think the city paid for the paving of the rear drive and some of the other projects there, but that group is amazing at fundraising, so they've raised a lot of money to improve that park. And there's various other groups like that around the city that have worked on Betts Park and Deindorfer. And, of course, we know the Tea House has the board that is great at fundraising and looking at it, expanding that and improving it as well. So we are, support and funding when we can, but those nonprofits and community-based initiatives are awesome.
Some of your projects are seasonal. How are you doing finding seasonal help?
It's been better this year, I think. I think it's starting to come back. You remember